Hey, welcome back to Spooky Bricks. This time I'm going to be talking about my build of the Samuel Pickman house of Salem, Massachusetts. The Samuel Pickman house is one of the oldest buildings in Salem and has a lot of creepy stories associated with it. And like most old houses in Salem, it's said to be haunted, and some people have claimed to see the spirit of a young girl in the windows of the house. Now, deciding on the colors of the house wasn't quite as straightforward as my other Salem builds. The siding isn't painted, it's just sort of a natural aged wood color, so it's made up of all kinds of grays and browns and tans, and after a little experimentation, I decided on using dark bluish gray with accents of dark tan and the original dark gray. The original dark gray is very similar to dark bluish gray, but when you put them side by side, it looks a little yellowish and almost reads like a faded, aged version of the dark bluish gray, which works great for this build. So, like the Ropes Mansion and the Witch House, I use ingot pieces to imply the siding texture. But because this house uses more varied colors for the siding, just having those different colors of plates contrasting with each other also helps give it that siding look. The house also has accents of red for the windows, doors, and corner posts. I originally considered using sand red for those accents since the reds on the house are a little more faded, but that's an older LEGO color that I don't think is even used by LEGO anymore, so pieces in sand red are a little more limited and a little more rare. So instead I went with dark red for the accent, which I think offers a better contrast from the grays on the siding anyway. The windows are a very similar style to that of the Witch House, so you can check out that video for more detail on the build of those. The front door area is made up of all red, and I use some snot techniques to add plate pieces vertically, which helps to imply the long wood vertical panels on the real house. The roof is made up of dark bluish gray plates, and then I added some 1x2 tiles, grill pieces, and ingots for some rustic shingle texturing. So the roof isn't physically attached to the house, it just sort of sets into place and can just be taken right off. There is no real interior to speak of, just a colorful mess of support structures. Now, I don't normally make interiors because there's no real practical way to show them off without taking apart the whole building, and due to the way the windows are designed, you wouldn't really be able to see on the inside anyway. The roof is held into place by the 2 stud wide channels on either end of the underside of the roof, and those just slip right over the wall. The chimney on the house is pretty ornate with a lot of angles and edges, so I originally tried to build it with your basic studs on top techniques like other chimneys I've made, but it wasn't quite working out and I didn't really like the look I was getting, so I ended up using snot or studs not on top techniques, using ingots and tiles for the brick texture. I ended up using a whole lot of ingots all over this build, and they've quickly become one of my favorite pieces. Now, unlike the other chimneys I've made so far, I didn't use any dark red because I wanted to separate the chimney from the dark red accents on the house. So I just used reddish brown and some dark brown, and I think there's a few hints of the original LEGO brown in there too. I really like the final result, and of all the chimneys I've made so far, I gotta say it's definitely my favorite. The Samuel Pickman house has a small stone wall that separates it from the nearby Old Burying Point Cemetery, so I added just a little hint of that stone wall around the side of the house. I used all kinds of pieces to give it a very rustic, non-uniform kind of look. The main structure of the tree up front is made up of Technic connectors, which are really great for building trees with. Not only do they allow you all sorts of shapes and angles, but they have a texture that I think mimics the look of tree bark very well. Of course, surrounding the tree on the ground are all kinds of leaves that have fallen, and along with other details like a few pumpkins on the lawn, help to give it that perfect autumn vibe. And for that perfect nighttime autumn vibe, I added some lights. Once again, check out my Ropes Mansion video for more information on the lights I used. And so, that's about it for my build of the Samuel Pickman house. Now, this will be my last Salem build, at least for the time being, but in my next videos, I'll be talking about another infamous spooky town. So, stay tuned for those spooky builds.
Boo! Oh! Boo! Ha 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 ha.